Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you're staying dry. I'm up near Rock Hill, so it is raining, as I'm sure it is for many of you on the line today. But hopefully you are at home or somewhere cozy and able to listen through on FAFSA things today. But thank you for joining us. Let's see, some housekeeping things. What we'll review today is really how to host a college goal event. We will touch on some FAFSA updates very quickly here at the beginning. As many of you know, the FAFSA opened just a few days ago, and there's some glitches that we want to address before we get into hosting an event. But really, the rest of the presentation will be around hosting a college goal event with us and how to prepare and promote those. So that will be the basis of what we review today. If you have questions, feel free to pop those in the chat. Morgan and I will be watching those and can either answer them there or answer them as we're going through the various slides today. So we can easily pick those up and get those answered. If you haven't already, feel free to drop in where you're from in the chat so we can get a sense of who's in the room with us. We have a great variety of folks from different programs, areas of the state. So this is really exciting to see. Definitely really happy about who's all in here. So this is awesome. And then let's see, it will be recorded. So we will share that link out with everyone. We'll also add it to our toolkit, and then the slides will be in our toolkit as well. So if we go through any links today, you can be sure to access those later as well. Let's see, I think that's it. So we'll go ahead and jump in and get started. But thank you for joining us. We are going to go through our college goal host site training. All right, let's make sure I can, here we go. Okay, so Morgan and I are your FAFSA folks for South Carolina. So College Goal is through CHE, and we are two of the college access program folks that are helping all of you kind of host the College Goal events. We also work with CAM, College Access Month or College Application Month, and then decision rallies as well. So you'll hopefully see our names and faces out at your schools and in your inboxes more often as we get started in this work. We were both hired really at the beginning of the fall to get started this year. So we're kind of jumping in and taking up all the college access stuff in South Carolina. All right, so just some updates as the FAFSA has opened. So just want to address a few of these things quickly because it's likely that you've noticed some of these things as your students are starting their FAFSAs. So we are in a soft launch period, and we don't really have any reference as to when the soft launch will end. And we don't have any schedule of the time periods that the FAFSA is open. So many of you might have seen or heard that the FAFSA was open over the weekend, and then last week from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We don't have any guidance as far as when the FAFSA will be open during the soft launch period. So for days going forward, we don't have a schedule we can share. If we do get one, we will definitely share that with you. But right now it's kind of a test and see type of process. So if you get onto the website and the start buttons are blue, it does mean that the FAFSA is open. And students can go ahead and start theirs. If the buttons are gray, the FAFSA is not open at this point. I have not checked today to see if they're blue or gray to know if we can get into it. But just so you know, that's kind of a good way to tell if you're going to be able to get into it. If you are able to get in due to the amount of people trying to do it right now, there is a waiting room area. They're only letting, so many folks in at a time. So it's possible if a student starts, they'll get put into a waiting room area. What we've been told is if they do get into the waiting room, they will eventually see their FAFSA. So encourage them to stay in that waiting room until they get access to their FAFSA. And then they can begin to start that process. And then if the buttons are gray, they cannot get started. If they try to start, it should just hopefully open or go to this waiting room area. If neither of those things happen, they might have to come back and try that later. So again, we don't know when the soft launch will end. We will keep you updated as much as we get updated on that whole process, but this is kind of what it's looking like for, we're anticipating the month of January and kind of planning around that time frame. One other thing to keep in mind, and I'm sure many of you know this already, the FSA ID is required to start the FAFSA. So students and families, really anybody that has to contribute to a FAFSA needs to have an FSA ID. They can create this and start the FAFSA, but they would have to do everything manually. So we've been promoting just to go ahead and do that FSA ID, wait the 3 to 5 days to get that verified, and then begin the FAFSA. This way they don't have to manually enter all of their information, all the way from their FSA ID info to their tax info would be manually entered if they don't have this already. And then they would not be able to sign it at the end either, because they wouldn't have the FSA ID verified. So they would still have to wait to go in and submit that later. So in all honesty, it's just easier to wait until that FSA ID is totally created and verified before they get started. Okay, and then one other major change this year is that it is a role-based form. So either the student or the parent can start the form, but they can't really do it together. One has to invite the other one to complete their portion. So as you get started and with your students and families doing this, please let us know how it's working for you, depending on who starts it, so we can get a sense of which one might be working better. We have a sense that most people will be having their students start their FAFSA first. And when the student gets through their portion of their FAFSA, they would then invite their parent to complete the parent portion of their FAFSA. And they will need the parent's date of birth, social security number, and email address to be able to invite them. So those are important things to keep in mind. And we will showcase a toolkit that we have for everybody. So that includes tools that your students can use to keep track of that information and have it available and ready when they begin their FAFSA. But remembering those, just because that's different this year, will be very helpful as they begin to start their FAFSA. And then as you're doing events or college goal events, it might just look a little bit different in terms of how you can get your folks to work on the FAFSA, because they can be sitting together and going through the process together, but each of their pieces will be separate. So one person has to start it and then invite the next person, versus in the past, we've been able to kind of sit them down together and go through it all at once. So just a little bit different on that this year. And then just as a FYI, if you've had a college goal event scheduled for January, we are working to reschedule those with your financial aid folks as well. So we have been in touch with everybody that we know of that's got an event scheduled through CHE. And so we'll be working to get those rescheduled for February and or later, depending on when the school wants to host it. Okay, and I do see a question in the chat about what will a student need in order to invite their parent. So what will happen is when they reach that part of their FAFSA, the last page will ask them to invite their parent, and they'll need to enter the parent's date of birth, their social security number, and their email address. The social security number, if the parent does not have one, there's a checkbox that they can check for that, and they won't have to enter a social security number. I know that those are hard things to remember, because like I can't do that for myself as it is, let alone a parent or another contributor. So it is helpful if they can write it down from a parent, or if the parent's with them when they invite them. So that way the parent can just get that email right away and start that process. But we know that that doesn't always happen either. So those are the 3 factors. That is what you can promote out to your students. And then we will showcase some of the tools we have for that as we get going through here. Yes, and I see one other question in the chat. If a child comes from a 2-parent household with both parents, need to complete the parent portion or just one parent. So in our toolkit, we have a parent matcher worksheet. So they can look at that and see which parent they need to get the information from. If they're married and they file their taxes jointly, it's just one parent. If they file separately, it'll be both. But again, they'll have a little chart they can go through to figure that out. The nice part about this new FAFSA is it will do this process with the student, because every student is different, and it will tell them which parent they need to use. Okay, and the question about the parent again, I don't know if that's the information you need for the parent, but if it's info, the student will need their date of birth, the parent's date of birth, the parent's social security number, the parent's email address to invite them to complete the parent portion of the FAFSA. Hopefully that was what needed to be addressed. Okay, awesome. I know this is a lot, but this is like stuff we know of now that we just want to share as you're starting to do FAFSAs with your students, because this is the stuff you'll probably pick up very quickly as students get started on these. The rest of today's session, though, will be really about hosting a college goal event and putting that together, promoting that with your students. So we will kind of walk away from addressing things with the FAFSA. But if you do have specific questions, or if you run into things with your students that you're not too clear on with the new FAFSA, do not ever hesitate to reach out to us. That's what we are here for, and we can help answer, those questions as they come up. In our toolkit as well, there is screenshots of what the FAFSA looks like, and there's a prototype out there that you can go in and practice with and kind of see the form for yourself. So if you want to get familiar with the FAFSA, I would definitely suggest doing that just to see what it looks like and what kind of screens to expect your students and parents to see as they complete the FAFSA. Okay. Here we go. All right, so now I'm just going to walk into, we're going to start with really a brief overview of the importance of FAFSA completion. I feel like everybody on this call probably knows that already, so I won't spend too much time here, but I do want to show some research and data here as well. And then we'll walk into hosting a college goal event. Okay, so in South Carolina, we are leaving about $57 million in Pell Grants on the table. So this means we're not accessing all of our free money, all of our students, could qualify for and could get. So this is why it's really important to get that FAFSA completed so we can access what we're leaving on the table here. This was in 2021, so I imagine it might be a little bit more for last year, but 57 million is quite a bit of funds that we're leaving on the table. Good news is we're still accessing it, but we definitely have more that they could access. Okay, and then just more importance to FAFSA completion. Really what the FAFSA is doing is providing access to free dollars. And this can be really at any level. It's definitely for federal aid. It could be for state aid and institutional aid. So through the state of South Carolina and through any college that a student is trying to attend as well. So some of those scholarships do require FAFSA completion. So really at the end of the day, what the FAFSA is providing is just more access to more funds. The two scholarships that's required for here in South Carolina are lottery tuition assistance and our South Carolina need-based grant. So we do need the FAFSA completed for access to both of those. Okay, and then just to hit on what we're doing as a state, we do have a public agenda around college access, and a big part of that is FAFSA completion. So we're looking to increase our FAFSA completion by 3% over the next 5 years and by 5% in 2030. So we will be, tracking our FAFSA completion rate, schools' FAFSA completion rates, and just keeping track of that to ensure that we're increasing the percentage completed. And really what that means is we're increasing access to all of our students to get all of those funds. Along with that, there's more with College Application Month and decision rallies as well. But for today's purpose, we're just kind of focusing on FAFSA. Okay, and then some of the reasons that students should submit a FAFSA and reasons they might not submit a FAFSA. So for many students, they might be thinking, what is really the reason I need to submit a FAFSA? Some students don't even know that they can. It is a free application. So we definitely want to promote that it's free. Please don't be paying for anybody to complete your FAFSA or any services to do that, because it is absolutely free and everybody can complete it regardless of income, regardless of, really any factor. Any student or any person actually can really just go out and complete the FAFSA as it is. We don't want to leave any free money behind. So as we said, with that 57 million, we really want to, zero that out, make sure our students are accessing all of that aid. For students that are not pursuing college after high school, I would still encourage them to complete the FAFSA, mostly because we know as folks that work with our students that that plan changes pretty quickly. And if they can get, assistance with completing a FAFSA the first time around, it makes it a lot easier to do independently once they leave. So if they can just get some practice doing that, that's a good reason to do it. But another one is that once they complete it, they might receive aid that they didn't even know they were eligible for, which could kind of change their mind or outlook on what they're wanting to pursue after high school. Because now they might see it might be more affordable for them to go do something than what their original plan was. So just some ways to encourage completing that, even if their plan is different. And believing that the form is too complicated. It is a government form, so it can be complex, but I promise you it's a lot easier than it used to be, and it's a lot less questions. We do have this kind of soft launch time period to make sure everything's working properly, that it's functioning correctly, and that all is going through and working. So as we work through this year and this process with the FAFSA, it will only smooth out to be so much better. But definitely much less questions to be answered. And then let's see. Oh yes, and then it's vital for some college and university funding, and situations can change with students as well. So those are more reasons just to actually get this FAFSA submitted. Okay, and I do want to just throw out a very huge congratulations. If you have your little confetti shooter reaction, feel free to use that now, because this is really great news for all of South Carolina. We are ranked number 15 in the nation for a class of 2022 for FAFSA completion, which means 62% of our students are getting that FAFSA completed, which is higher than what we're doing nationally. That we, at the national level, only 58% of students are getting that FAFSA done, and here in South Carolina, that's 62. So that's pretty awesome. And I also want to just point out that the top 10 people or states in this leaderboard have a FAFSA requirement for graduation. So we are competing with folks that are, making this a check mark to graduate high school, but we're still sitting at the top. So that's really exciting because we don't have this as a requirement, and we're still, getting in the top 15. So huge round of applause to all of you, because we couldn't do this work without you. So you are doing an awesome job, and that doesn't go unnoticed, trust me. And even nationally, we're catching those eyes. So thank you for helping us get that far. Okay, so what we do know about FAFSA completion here in South Carolina, we are on the rise. So that percentage of completion has been going up year over year, which is also really exciting. Other things that we have seen with FAFSA completion data is that our schools in communities serving lower income students are also improving. So that means, our lower income students are getting better access to things like the Pell Grant and getting that FAFSA completed. So also very good work there. Very exciting for us as well. But we do know that we're also still not accessing all of that financial aid. Like I said, we've left that 57 million on the table. So there's definitely more that we can be getting for our students. And so why all of that matters, really just so students know that they can afford a post-secondary education. Like I mentioned with why complete the FAFSA to begin with, just to have general knowledge of what's affordable, what can be affordable, what can be manageable. If a student doesn't do it, then they don't actually know that those options exist. So just kind of pointing that out to them and seeing what is actually possible for them can be very helpful. Also, all of our higher paying jobs require some type of post-secondary education. So a certificate or a diploma or a degree is all going to help them receive a higher paying job towards the end. So that will just help them be in less debt, which goes to our next point, but also just be able to secure those higher paying jobs. And then we all know the less debt a student can graduate with, the more stability of their income. So we're all hoping for that as well. Okay, so that is all why it matters. And then I'm going to switch it over to Morgan, and she's going to walk into more details on college goal events. While she's doing that, I'll skim through the chat to see what questions I've missed and try to address those as well. So Morgan, I'm going to pass over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Jamie. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone. I'm Morgan Clinton. You may have received an email from me, any type of correspondence. But yes, I am here to assist you guys as well as my team here at the South Carolina Commission on Higher Education. So the biggest goal for College Goal is to assist students and families in completing their FAFSA. And so we encourage you all to host it in a place that's sort of comfortable for them. So whether that's the high school or their college or university, having it in their backyard is really what we try to encourage you all to do, so that they're doing it in a place that they are most comfortable. There are different ways that you can host a College Goal event. Many of you have hosted drive-throughs before where you have the students and their families stay in their car, right? So they're right in the comfort of their automobile and you assist them with portable devices. Some of you host it, actually a lot of you host it in open spaces, whether that's a media center, library, a multi-purpose room. I've seen it in a gym, right, where you have the table set up with the computers, laptops, whatever the case is. Office hours setting where you have them, scheduling appointments, or doing a walk-in basis where you have a financial aid representative there to assist. So there are a lot of different ways that you can host a College Goal event, but the biggest thing that we want you all to do is to host it in a place where it is most comfortable for the students and families. So how to host the College Goal event. Number one, you're going to figure out the date and time that you would like to host. So what day and time works best for your students and families at your school. Then you will register that event with the Commission on Higher Education. We have hyperlinked the registration form here for you also. When you receive a copy of the presentation, feel free to utilize that hyperlink. Many of you already have it, but that is where you will go to register your event details with us. Then you'll begin the planning logistics, deciding, hey, what kind of format do I want to have? Kind of thinking through some of those logistical things. Also create yourself a team. You don't want to do all of this on your own. College Goal is a big thing. FAFSA completion, it can be complex. And so create a team of individuals, whether those are enthusiastic teachers or knowledgeable partners within the community. Create a team of people that you can have to be a support to the students as well as yourself on the day of the event. Promote the event to students and parents and guardians. So in a couple of slides, you guys will see one of our high school counselors who did a fall FAFSA preparation event pretty well. And a big thing that helped her was how she promoted the event. So promotion is a big thing. You don't want to do all this planning and not promote it very well for your students and families. So promote, promote, promote. Communicate with volunteers regarding the time, setup, right? Make sure you have some breaks in there. So if you're going to host from 12 to 6, make sure you have a break in there for your volunteers. You don't want to overwork them, but making sure that you're very clear on the expectations the day of the event. Best practices. Number one, secure a space. So you want to have it in a space that's quiet. You don't want a lot of traffic going in and out of these spaces, just because the nature of what they are doing, right? FAFSA completion, you want to make sure that they're comfortable. Do it in a space where it offers computer and technology connectivity. So you want to make sure that it is easily accessible to the students and families. So a media center, library. Like I said, I've seen it hosted in a gym. So those are all different options, making sure that, it's enough space where you can have between your students and families so they're not all bunched up on top of each other. Providing water and snacks. So while it is not required, we highly encourage doing it. We recommend doing it just because it incentivizes attendance. People typically show up. We're not saying you got to have a full-blown meal, but have some snacks and water there for them. Inform the students what to bring with them. So in our toolkit, many of you already have access to that, but if you do not, we will get you access to it. But provide them with the information that they need. Let them know, hey, these are the documents you'll need to bring. Make sure you have your FSA ID set up before, and if you don't, this is where you go to do that. Again, all that information is in our toolkit, which we will walk through. Heavy promotion, posters inside of the schools, posters in local areas that are popular, text messaging if your school does that, calling, right? Having those phone calls with the families, letting them know what's going on, whether it's a blast email as well. Promote, promote, promote. Social media is a big thing. Students are on Instagram, right? So going where they are, where your students are, promote your event. Have an interpreter available as well, via phone or in person that day to help translate anything. If you need assistance finding an interpreter or a translator, don't hesitate to reach out to us so that we can get one for you for the day of your event. Virtual events. So many of you all are hosting virtually for the college goal season. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is select an online platform. So whether that's Zoom, Teams, Google Meets, whatever the case is, making sure that you select that platform if you choose to do so. Decide who the host is going to be, right? So who is that site coordinator? Identify that person. That'll more than likely be the person who creates the link through their account, and then share that link with us so that we can share it with the partners. If the partners don't know where to go for your event, how can they assist your students? So make sure that you share that link with us as soon as it is created, and then promote that event link to your students and families so they know, hey, this is where you go. Whether you hyperlink it in the email blast that you send, you can say, hey, join us on this date at this time at this link. Or if you want to create a QR code, creating a QR code is pretty simple. But if you need our assistance here to do it, we are more than happy to assist you if you get that link sent to us. Work with the financial aid partners to determine the program or agenda, right? And you also want to work with them to see what their availability is for the virtual event as well. And so checking with them to making sure, hey, this is what we're going to do at this time. This is the flow of it. That is going to be helpful. Utilize an appointment strategy. So if you know that you have, let's say maybe 10 to 15 students that are going to be on this virtual event, having time frames where you say, hey, I read this student registered for this time to this time, making sure that that is communicated with the financial aid partner as well. That is something that you may want to implement. Having students book appointments, using breakout rooms if you have more than one appointment at one time. So I know Zoom allows for that to happen with the breakout rooms. So if that's something that you would like to implement, we strongly recommend doing so. Informing students what to have with them, right? So you send that out before, making sure they know this is the FAFSA checklist. We have that in our toolkit again, but sharing that with them, letting them know, hey, this is the information you'll need to bring with you so that they are prepared. Share links to surveys. So we have the surveys on a few slides moving forward for you all to access, but share those links with them, whether you're putting that in the chat for them while they're on these virtual platforms, or if you send it out before, during, and after, making sure that you're very adamant about, hey, we want to hear the feedback, and you all want to hear the feedback as well about, how did the students feel? Did they feel like their needs were met? All of that good stuff. So sending those links to them is important. Promoting your event. So start promoting 4 to 6 weeks out from your event, right? It's no good if you guys host these awesome events and no one's actually there to participate. And so promote your event. Include event details and what to bring. I know we've said it, but we're going to keep putting that in there. There are a lot of changes, and we just want students and families to be as knowledgeable as much as possible. So check out that toolkit, download, print off any of those resources on there so that your students are well aware of what they need to bring with them. Provide registration links if that applies to your event. Promote creatively. All of you guys are really creative. I'm learning that as I talk to you. We always give ideas of things that you can do, and someone's going to come back like, you know what, Morgan, we're going to do it differently. So we are excited to see the creative ways that you all are hosting, how you choose to promote your event. And so again, be creative and provide reminders all throughout the step. I think that just goes back to the comfortability of things. You all work with your students and families all the time. And so provide those reminders. Let them know, hey, we're 1 week out from the event. We're 2 weeks out from the event. We're 2 days out from the event, whatever the case is, making sure that you're kind of holding their hand throughout this process and making it a little bit more comfortable for them. Event planning, submit the request. So once you know, I'm going to host at the library, or I'm going to host at the media center, making sure that you're submitting those requests to whomever it is at your institution or your high school. Submit that information to them. Also, I want to put in here, work with your IT team, making sure that there are no sites that are blocked off. That is something I'm going to stress, because a lot of times we get emails that are like, hey, I'm trying to access this or that, and it's not on our end. It's an IT thing on your end that they're blocking it out. So making sure that you're working with them to ensure that students can access proper links and all of that the day of your event. Determine signage. So if you didn't share with us what room or building your event is being hosted in, definitely make sure that you're communicating that with volunteers, you're communicating that with the financial aid partner, and you're also communicating that with your students and families. You want them to know, hey, we're going to be located in this building at this time, this room, right? So making sure you have signage also being posted all throughout your location so that they know where to go. Or if not, you can have greeters, right? Having them stand up and direct people to where they need to go. Review and secure technology needs kind of goes back to what I just said. If you need portable laptops for drive-throughs, or if you need printers, right? If you need printers to print off anything, making sure that you have that, making sure that your Wi-Fi connection is secure, because we're talking about confidential information. And so making sure that all those things are together. And again, work with your IT team at whatever institution you are at for that. And determine volunteer needs, recruiters, and recruitment. So if you have greeters, tech support, photographers, all of us have very nice phones typically. So if you want to pull out your iPhone or your Galaxy, hopefully your iPhone, snap some photos and see what's going on. Post those different things that are happening, tag us, we want to see it. If you want to put a student, a star student, maybe a star junior, they may not be actually doing the FAFSA right now, but having them there to kind of take photos and capture the event, that would be great as well. You don't have to go spend a ton of money on a photographer, but definitely document your event. Communicate event logistics with volunteers. I think that goes without saying. Communicating it, you don't want to have a ton of volunteers and they don't even know where they're going. They have no clue what's going on. So communicate those events logistics with them. The toolkit. So really quick, we're going to go through our toolkit just so that you all can see what that looks like. Again, I know most of you all have access to this already. Let's see. So in that toolkit, you all, and Jamie just dropped that link in there. So even if we can't pull it up on the screen, that's totally fine. Y'all can click that link in the chat and it'll take you right to our toolkit, copy and paste that into your browser, save it for later. But inside of that toolkit, we have everything in there for you, from FSAID worksheets to a ton of links that will take you to different FSA workshops that they have done regarding the FAFSA, sharing frequent updates on the FAFSA, making sure that you're kind of becoming a student again. You're educating yourself, right? You're learning throughout this process. So click those links. We also have some signage here, some templates there if you would like to utilize those. Step by step, how to create the FSA ID. If you want to print that off for your students now, that's something that you can do to be proactive now. Because I know many of you all have rescheduled for February, to host your events, but go ahead and start getting into this toolkit to see, hey, what are some tools I can share with my students now so that they are prepared? Jamie has this pulled up right here, so it kind of walks you step by step, who's considered a contributor, whose income do I report on my FAFSA? So this is a beautiful printout that we have here. Jamie, can we show them that FSAID worksheet really quick? Because that's a big one. We've been encouraging students to create their accounts, but write your information down, take a photo of your information, store this someplace safely. Because even though you give it to them now, they may possibly forget that information if they don't write it down and take a picture of it and store it, right? So making sure that they are putting their information on here, taking a photo of that, and so that they have access to that for the day of your event. Again, I just want to stress, if they do not have their FSA ID created before the event, they may not be able to access that FAFSA. So encourage them to have that done. This is a FAFSA checklist, what to bring to complete your FAFSA. So this is something that you're going to want to be sharing with them right now, right? So after you get access to that toolkit, I know you guys are just ready to go hit the printer and get that, put information out to the students. So make sure that you are getting that to them. Again, we have a ton of links in here for different workshops and webinars. This recording will also be put in this toolkit as well. Awesome. Yep, we've got our fact sheet, we've got terminology breakdown, old terminology versus new terminology. So there's a lot of really good stuff in there. If you guys don't mind putting in the chat really quick, if you've already been looking in that toolkit, let us know, has it been a good resource to you and your students? Awesome. So again, that toolkit provides resources before the event, during and after. Awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to bring Jamie up really quick just so we can highlight this pre-FAFSA event that was held at West Side High School. Jamie actually had the privilege of physically being there with the school counselor. As you guys can see from the photos, they had a wonderful turnout for a simple FSAID creation event, and also just some FAFSA quick facts. So Jamie, if you don't mind sharing some things that worked really well for this counselor.
Yeah, most definitely. So we had Miss Dorothy hosting with her counseling team at Westside a pre-FAFSA event where the goal was really how to prepare for the FAFSA and to complete an FSA ID. So they invited students and their families to come do that. You can see they had a few snacks available. I believe they did this in a media or cafeteria area, and it's a pretty big space. But they also had their financial aid rep there, kind of going through some slides on really what we're kind of talking about today of like how to prepare, what to bring, all of those types of things. So they've got their students kind of set up for success once they host an actual FAFSA completion event. And then they did a lot of FSA ID creation as well with their students and parents. So these are just some photos. And when I can get my mouse to work correctly, I can talk about what our school counselor did. Okay, so Miss Dorothy sent out senior letters at her IGP meetings. So just kind of an in-person way to remind senior students that this event was taking place. She sent out senior and parent emails. They set up a robocall and an email message about the event from their principal. So just adding another layer of like of weight to that as far as the principal's role. If we get an email from the principal, it might be a little more urgent and we look at it. So just thinking about who can do that for you at your school. School TV scrolling message. So on the screens throughout their school building, they put up messages about this event, and would just have that, kind of scrolling through a few days before it took place. They also put it on their website and then promoted on their social media channels as well. So there's an example here of what her flyer looks like for the event. I love this piece right here. Bring your Chromebook. Really setting up the student for success once they arrive. And then, on her other social media pieces where they put that. So just some ways we wanted to, really showcase a school that is doing this in South Carolina to just bring examples to all of you. We've also been receiving some other really great flyers and posters from other schools about their events. So if you want to share your resources with us, we appreciate that. It gives us a fresh look at what's happening, and it can help us kind of connect schools together when they're asking us questions. You can be like, well, hey, this school did this, or you might be considering something like this. So that just kind of helps us connect all of you guys together to be able to put on your own events. So please do share all of your good work so we can just elevate that at the statewide level. Okay, I think that was it for Westside.
Awesome,
Morgan?
awesome.
Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, Jamie, for sharing that with us. Surveys and data collection. So as you all know, that's a big deal of what we do here. Is you can host an event all you want, but if we don't have the data, it didn't happen. So definitely make sure that you are distributing the surveys to students and volunteers after your event concludes, or honestly with the students before they even leave. Say, hey, can you do this student survey really quick, just so we can see, hey, how did the event meet your needs? What are any feedback that you can provide to us? So hyperlinked here are the volunteer surveys and the student surveys. Again, you all will have access to this. So you can click through it. If you want to create your own QR code for your event to where they can scan that and have it easily accessible, that is great as well. Utilizing sign-in sheets. Many of you did this with the CAM events as well, which made your reporting even easier. So if you want to utilize sign-in sheets to track the number of participants, that is a perfect practice to do, and we highly recommend doing it, just so that when it's time to do your end of event report form, you're not sitting here trying to figure out, did I have 50 students or did I have 20, right? So by fact how many individuals you had physically there. So utilize those sign-in sheets and that end of event report form. Jamie, if you could head to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. The student survey, we'll go back into that. So the student survey, again, before they leave the event, use it as a checkout task. That is very important. We want to hear from our students, understanding, hey, was this useful? Was this helpful? It also has some basic demographic questions on there, family size and income questions, education and military history, all that great stuff. But we just want to hear from our students. Their voice matters. And so encourage them to do that. Yep, and now to the end of event report. The event coordinator host, please complete this report. We have gotten really good feedback from our CAM counselors, and we are excited to hear about our college goal outcomes as well. So this is due by April 30th. If you are one of those proactive counselors who like to get it done after your event, continue to be proactive and encourage other counselors to be proactive. However, that is the link to the report there for you all. Please submit that shortly after your event concludes, just so that that data is fresh on your mind and we are able to receive accurate numbers there. Awesome. So this is our contact information. Connect with us. We're here for you. We are Team U. Okay, we're Team CHE, but we're Team U. So reach out to Jamie and myself. My email is there. Jamie's email is there. Phone number. Take a photo of this if you would like. Save us to your contact list. Reach out to us. We've been in communication with many of you all already, but reach out to us as well. The next slide has our full team's information on there as well. So if you have specific information regarding anything, we are under the direction of Dr. Karen Woolfolk, who does an awesome job here as our director. But if you have any questions about Life, Hope, Palmetto Fellows, reach out to any of our awesome program managers. Dr. Garrett Hampton, he is also part of our college access team, and you all are most familiar with him. But if you have any questions about anything, don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. We are here to assist you. I mean it. So now we will take some additional questions. If you all want to continue putting those in the chat. I think we did a good job answering any, the ones that we do have. I'm going to stop the recording now.
I did add 2 links